Second myth is also dangerous. This is a myth that mainly goes to Democrats. And this is a myth that if a politician talks about guns, they're going to get defeated. You've probably heard it. You know, anybody that deals with campaign managers, campaign consultants, talking heads, don't talk about guns. It'll get you defeated. And actually, one of the most shocking things for me when I took this job was how prevalent that myth was out here. Because it's really not something I'd heard back in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where I was mayor. You know, I followed politics most of my life. You know, I've heard the arguments on different issues. And when I heard that the Gingrich took over Congress in '94 because of gun control, I thought, where in the world did that come from? We had 3 seats in Indiana flip in '94 from Democrat to Republican, and guns were not an issue in any of those races. Hillary healthcare was, Jim Wright's book deal was, post office scandal was, 40 years with Democrats being in control. You know, all sorts of issues that most people, NAFTA, that people have forgotten about since then. Not gun control. But somehow the NRA has rewritten history to say it was gun control. You know, that was the year that the Republicans used that contract with America, or contract, what, you know. It did not mention guns in the contract with America. You know, now the NRA has probably tried to rewrite that to make people think that's what happened, but gun control was not the issue in 1994. And then they expand on this theory to say that in 2000, the guy that got 500,000 more votes in the presidential race lost that race because of gun control. Al Gore. And, you know, I look at that race and, you know, you can argue if you get 500,000 more votes, even if you lose the Electoral College, can you really argue that you lost on any issue? And, you know, when the Electoral College is that close, did you really lose on any issue? And, but that's what the NRA has translated the election of 2000 into. And it's interesting because even if you look at that election specifically and what the candidates were saying that year, Vice President Gore, Al Gore at the time, wasn't talking about the gun issue. He was listening to these same sort of pundits and consultants who said, don't talk about guns. So he tried to, you know, you know, that was the earth tone year and then don't go into the alpha male stuff. George W. Bush, you know, listening to Karl Rove, all of a sudden came out for the assault weapon ban, came out for child safety locks. You know, didn't probably believe it, but supported the idea politically because they knew voters were going to respond to that. So actually the candidate that ended up officially winning that year talked more about gun control than the one who lost. Actually, Bush did the same thing in '04. He again supported the assault weapon ban, and John Kerry ran away from the issue. Now, when you look at who talked about gun control in the last 5 presidential elections, the one who has talked about supporting gun control has been the winner each time. You know, President Obama talked about it in the Denver Convention speech, about how, you know, there's no reason why a hunter in southwest Ohio needs an assault weapon, but we should allow him to hunt and still keep assault weapons out of the streets of Cleveland. I was in Denver for the convention when he said that. I was so impressed that he brought the issue up because everyone said, you know, he won't talk about guns. He brought it up, and he won. And Bush brought it up and won. And Clinton, and this is the one that disproves the case, I keep thinking, you know, if the NRA is right, that this is dangerous, what happened to the guy that pushed this issue the most? You know, it wasn't Al Gore, it wasn't John Kerry. Who was the guy that pushed the Brady bill? Who was the guy that pushed the assault weapon ban? Who was the guy that had Jim and Sarah Brady on the convention platform in 1996? It was Bill Clinton. You know, the only Democrat to be reelected president in my lifetime was a strong supporter of gun control and didn't run away from it and wasn't ashamed of it. You know, that should be the lesson that we learn from it. But even look at more recent elections. In '06, not a single person lost in '06 that I know of, and I've raised this issue before, because they supported gun control. Might have lost for other reasons, but not because of gun control. In '08, I don't know of a single candidate that lost supporting gun control. Actually had a lot of people get elected in those years that supported gun control. Had some get elected that didn't support gun control either, but you know, when everybody was glorifying, you know, Heath Shuler is the new Democrat from North Carolina, and and Brad Ellsworth from my home state of Indiana. I'd say, how about John Yarmouth from Louisville, who at one time in the 70s supported very strong restrictions on guns, or Dave Loebsack from Iowa, who supported restrictions on guns, or other newly elected Democratic Congress people in those years that did that. One of them even was Gabrielle Giffords. I talked to Congresswoman Giffords when she was running in '06. I talked to her after she got elected in '06. And yes, she told me she owned guns. Yes, she told me that she believed in the Second Amendment. And then she said when she was in the Arizona legislature, she fought to have restrictions on assault weapons because she didn't understand why any legitimate gun owner needed something that could fire that many bullets that quickly and kill that many people. You know, that's what those elections were all about. It was about common sense. It was about strong measures that said you can have a balance. You can allow people to have guns, but you shouldn't allow everyone to have guns. But somehow too many Democrats have run away from the issue and are afraid to talk about the issue. The 2010 election showed it again. Democrats had a bad year in 2010. We all know that. But the Democrats who had signed on to our bill to close the gun show loophole, and again, thank you, I know that's one of the policy things you all support. Democrats had signed on to the bill to close the gun show loophole. 103 were running for re-election. You know how many lost? 3. 98% of the Democrats that signed on to the good bill won. Okay, now look at the Democrats that took NRA money or had the NRA endorsement. 65% of those lost. You know, so basically playing footsie with the NRA, wanting the NRA endorsement, that didn't get them elected and it didn't save them from a tidal wave. And so they ought to be out there doing the right thing. Not true. And by the way, the Republicans in 2010 didn't put guns into their pledge against America either.